Yes, my people. Welcome back to the Outspoken Podcast, episode 8. I am your host and the Just Rhyme champion, Annotate.
You can't
joined
really.
by my...
What are you doing, bro? You can't really call yourself that when you have no belt.
It doesn't matter if I brought the belt or not. People know I'm the Just Rhyme champion, so it's fine.
Well, it looks less believable right now.
The Just Rhyme champion, Annotate, joined by my annoying co-host.
Wait, what? Just Naeem, guys. And you guys can all call me Naeem.
By now, I think everybody's bored of that.
Bruv, Woodsy wanted to bring it back even though I forgot it.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
So
I'll give you credit where credit's due. Last week, we had an amazing episode with Woodsy.
Yeah, that was great.
Wow. The discussion was incredible.
Bro, we put him on the spot, man.
We did put him on the spot, and Woodsy came back with some incredible answers to some very difficult questions.
Definitely.
Regarding whether or not whiteness determines a person's humanity. Deep stuff. It was an absolutely epic episode. If you have not listened yet, my people, go check it out because you will not regret it. But you know how we like to get things started. You know how we like to get things rolling, get things popping. We're going to be asking questions from you, my peoples.
We mean answering questions.
That's what I said.
I
said we're going to answer some questions from my peoples. Yeah? So don't mess around. These are my peoples.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Not your peoples, bro.
Cool. Go on, bro.
All right. So we got a question here from Malik Lendell. He said,
I know Malik, man. He's a sick guy, bro.
He actually asked some really interesting questions. So let's see what he's got this week for us. He says, what childhood experience defines you?
Whew.
Wow. Tough question. Do you want to start us off?
I'll let you go this time.
Wow.
That is a tough question.
It's a really tough question. Do you know what? I think there's probably one that comes to my mind really quickly. I don't know necessarily if it's the only childhood experience that defines me, or even the one that defines my childhood in general the most. But I go back a number of years to when I was very young. I was probably around 7 years old. And I recently wrote about this exact thing I'm about to tell you in my newest poem called Conceited. And in essence, what happened was one day out of the blue, I came out of the shower. My mum was drying me. I was still a kid, so, you know. And I asked her, for some reason, why her skin wasn't white. I just said, Mum, why are you black? Why are you not white? And I think that was genuinely because I'd been exposed to this whole idea that most mixed race children have white mums and black dads. So I was so confused about my identity because of all of the people around me telling me this and telling me that. And I was just a kid. So it was just really confusing and difficult for me to grasp. So I just asked my mum. I just said, Mum, why are you black? And my poor mum, I think I broke her heart that day. That's why I say it in the poem, because she was really, really upset. She was just gobsmacked. But she understood that I'm a child and I'm exposed to a lot of stuff in society that's probably shaped the way I'm thinking. Eventually, we just sat down and had a discussion about different parents and whatnot. You know, some families having white fathers, some having black mothers, and vice versa in mixed race families. But I think it's difficult in the society that we live in today. And one of the issues that I believe exists is that we don't, as mixed race children, often get enough opportunity to identify with both sides of our culture. So, of course, if we grow up in a black household, then usually we're going to be very close to our black culture. If we grow up in a white household, we're going to be very close to the white culture. So then when we start coming across racism and being exposed to that stuff, we're like, hold on a minute, but I've got a white dad, or I've got a white mum. I don't understand. And even sometimes our parents, and this is a bit of a controversial comment, but sometimes our parents don't fully understand this either. So even though your pops or your mum might be white, they still may not be able to completely empathize with this, what's gone on historically regarding black people.
Yeah, because they don't face that certain
Exactly.
because
But
of the...
yeah, there you go. Because they haven't had to face it, so it's very hard to empathize with it. So you might even come across people. I've read a book recently. I'm still reading through it. Rennie Edo Lodge's Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race, and she said she had an interview with one woman that actually mentioned this idea that her mum was still making racial remarks, and she probably didn't realize she was doing so. But yeah, so that's probably one of my childhood experiences that defines me, because it made me go on to really love who I was.
Yeah.
As I got older, I was like, this is who I am. I'm a mixed race man. I have a white father and I have a black mother, and I'm proud of that and I'm happy with that. I praise God for that. And it shaped me into being who I am today. Just being able to become accustomed to that fact and trying to generate a greater understanding through research and discovery as to what it's like for black people in society, even what it's like for white people that are often accused of racism when they're not. But I digress for now, because it will probably be a discussion that goes on for the entire podcast. But childhood experience that defines you, Mr. Naive.
Childhood experience, like how young we going?
As young as you want. As young as you want.
Okay. You know what? When I was younger, I didn't like, cause I'm Bengali. That's what like my family and stuff is from, yeah. But I didn't like calling myself Bengali.
Why not?
Because I didn't. For me, with the people that I used to know as who are Bangladeshi, for me, I didn't feel like they were great people. And when I used to chill with these people, they didn't make me feel good. And I thought all Bengalis are like this, so I didn't associate myself with like Bengalis anymore.
Okay, I see.
So I actually for the whole of secondary, I think, no, not whole secondary, for part of secondary, yeah, I kept calling myself. I kept telling people I'm Pakistani because I didn't want to. Bro, I'm telling you, you serious? People believe me, bro, because I didn't want to associate being Bengali, and I'm not saying that's all Bengalis, but it's because of this experience I faced.
You had,
with Bengalis, and when I used to chill with a lot of them.
Yeah,
bro, they used to do a lot. The people I used to chill with, they used to do a lot of silly stuff. Do you know what I mean? A lot of silly stuff.
Yeah.
Hence why I did that. Yeah, but when I grew, as soon as I got into like year 10, year 11 and stuff, like, even at the end of year 9, I was just like, bro, this is silly, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I know not everyone's like that. This is where, and the thing is that that's where my mum, my dad, my granddad, my whole family came from. Do you know what I mean? If I neglect my own nationality, where's my like ancestors are from, I'm just neglecting who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
I can't be something I'm not. So during that time frame when I was like, yeah, guys, I'm Pakistani. During that time frame.
How did you overcome that struggle?
No, that's what I'm saying. During this time frame when I was saying that, yeah, there was one incident that happened. Yeah, that I had a conversation with my mum about, and this was during that time, someone close to me passed away, and during that time, I was talking to my mum about race and religion, and I was meeting new people at that same time, new people at the same time.
Yeah.
And one conversation I had with my mum was about the past that she faced. And I don't want to go into detail about it because that's her past, but what she faced and what she was telling me, it just changed my whole worldview on things. Yeah, and then I had a conversation with her and my grandma, and the life they live as people as Bengalis and stuff, it's just mad. And then once I heard this story, it just changed my whole worldview and it changed my perception. I was like, bro, I'm not Pakistani, bro. I'm Bengali. This is who I am.
And you were able to then adopt a sense of pride for who you are.
Exactly.
Not in an
arrogant way.
Not in an
arrogant way.
manner,
But I was able to
just being able to say, okay, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be who
I was able to have what's it called, self-awareness, like accept the fact that I am what I am. Because of I'm what I am because of my mum, my dad, my grandma, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter where I'm from. It doesn't matter like who I came from. I'm who I am. Yeah. Me calling myself something else isn't gonna fix anything.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's
just who you are. And I think that's one of the things that got me riled up to be like, yeah, guys, I'm Bengali. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm proud of that. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll have the khutki, if you don't know what that is, it's dried fish, all the time. Do you know what I mean? I'll cook it up and it will stink, but I'll still eat it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? To all the Bengalis out there listening, bruv, it's banging, innit?
Wow, I need to try it to see. We have another question here from Abdul Ahad Patel. I'm not sure if he's asking about the movie when I announced this question or whether he's asking what our thoughts are on the characters. So I'll briefly mention both. He's asked Batman versus Superman. If you're asking who I prefer, then Batman, easily. Superman doesn't touch him. Like
Superman doesn't touch him.
No, I don't mean necessarily.
Superman doesn't touch
No,
him.
let me finish before you cut me
Superman doesn't touch him. That's what he just said.
Okay, we're just going to wait. Okay, thank
Superman doesn't touch him?
We're going to wait. Thank you. So Batman and Superman. Superman does not touch Batman, I repeat. Because in terms of who Batman is as a character, he just can't be touched by anyone else in the DC universe from a hero perspective. And the reason I say that is because this guy is a human. This guy literally is a human being that has adopted a stance against criminality in his community and wants to become someone that his community can look to for support, even though they don't know who he is. But he aids them and assists them when difficult situations arise. And he does that all as a human being with no special powers, no special abilities, nothing. He's just a human being who has, okay, he is a billionaire. We give him credit for that one, yeah.
We can't give him credit for that. He was born like that.
But he still built his company, continued its growth, did he not? Yeah.
But he had other people helping him along the way.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Are you telling me Bruce Wayne did not help his company succeed? Is that what you're saying?
But that's like the same, like, for example, like Tony Stark.
Okay, Tony Stark was the same thing. His dad existed before him.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark.
But he was a built-up company already.
That's what I'm saying, but they still have to generate success. So you have to understand.
Are they bigger or are they lower? Are they same level?
You're asking a ridiculous question because you have to understand that if somebody builds a company, it doesn't matter if somebody takes over. They still have to then make sure that it continues in that fashion.
So it's running.
Is that not the case?
But I'm saying, is he built it up or is it still running the same?
It's running the same, but I'm saying he's helped it to grow even further. So he's continued that building foundation, has he not, over the years?
You just contradicted yourself right
there.
No,
I didn't contradict myself.
You said he kept it the same, but he's building and growing and bringing it up.
That's not a contradiction. I'm saying the company is the same, but he continues its growth. It's building foundations.
But that's why I said he's building it up.
No, you didn't. You're just cutting me off for pointless reasons. You're being tremendously annoying right now.
Bro.
Superman sucks.
But is it asking, comparing them?
Superman sucks.
Is just
Superman sucks.
Yo.
I don't like Superman. No,
is it comparing them? Is it comparing them?
I'm only joking. Superman's all right. But for me,
that's because you love Batman, though. No, you're being biased.
Yeah, I am being biased. I've been asked the question, so I am being biased. But the reality is, for me, Superman is a character that has everything given to him already in terms of the fact that he was born into a world where he is stronger than everyone else.
No, that's not the thing. Is
when he comes to the earth,
that's only even exactly. There you go.
Why do you keep cutting me off though? If you cut me off every second, I can't get what I'm saying out. What I'm saying is that when he came to the earth, he already had everything existing within him in terms of special abilities and whatnot because he was born in Krypton. Yeah. So he was already able to be essentially better than everyone else on the earth because he's already got those powers gifted to him from his previous planet. Okay, in that planet he wasn't necessarily the strongest. Yeah. But when he comes to the earth, he is. Whereas Batman, he didn't have any of that. His youth shaped him. His difficulties, the things he faced as a youngster, shaped him. His parents were murdered. How can Superman ever be better than Batman?
Superman's parents were murdered too.
When
he was a baby.
Oh yeah, that's true.
What are you talking about, bro?
But he didn't have to witness it, right?
He was right there when his dad died in front of him.
Yeah, but he didn't have to witness it. Trauma is different. If you actually have to witness something and if you hear about it later in life, he was a baby. He's not going to be like, oh my God, I remember that, is he? Yeah, whereas Batman, he actually witnessed it. And plus, on top of that, if you watch Superman anyway, and you read the comics, he mostly refers to his adopted parents or foster parents as mum and dad anyway, because he's growing up with them and he has them around him, right?
That's his foster parents.
Yeah,
obviously, eventually you start calling them mum and dad,
But that's a moot point, man. What I'm saying to you is that he didn't have to experience the trauma firsthand. Batman did.
Yeah, but he faces trauma as well.
Bro, just give me for example, you're beginning to frustrate me.
Bro, okay. But is this asking, just comparing them?
I don't know.
Because it's asking, can Superman beat Batman?
No, it's not asking that.
But can Superman beat Batman? I'm asking this now.
Can Superman beat Batman? Of course he can beat Batman.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. Batman's beaten Superman, however.
But that's because the comics made it like that.
Well, obviously, the comics make everything
No,
like that.
I mean,
That's
like,
a ridiculous...
I mean,
that is an absolutely
no,
ridiculous
it's not ridiculous.
sentence.
I'm not
It is a
ridiculous.
ridiculous
If a comic makes it like that, I'm saying physically and looking at the ability.
it's not real, so
If Superman,
It's not real.
if Superman,
It's not real.
if Superman
It's not
went
real.
to beat
It's not
Batman, yeah, for the sake of,
Saitama is annoyed with you.
but even Saitama's annoyed with you.
No, he's annoyed with you because
All Might
Batman
is
and
still,
Superman are not real. So it doesn't matter.
we got
In the comics, Batman's beaten
yo,
Superman.
we got
it's
bats.
as simple as
We
that.
got bats on the table, yeah.
Look, I digress here because we could go on for this discussion for days. I choose Batman. Who do you choose?
I choose Superman. Superman's better.
Well, you suck.
You suck.
You suck.
Superman's so much better, bro.
This is why I'm the Just Ram champion, people, and this guy is not.
I think he's only crap in Man of Steel. He kills everyone in Man of Steel.
This is the Outspoken Podcast, and this is what's happening. Naeem, take us through what's happening, bro.
Yeah, man, let me just put my water down. So what's happening, guys? I'm just continuing this through from the New Zealand attack. It was a tragedy that happened last Friday, and there's been little bits of like after effects from this experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to see what's going on in New Zealand with the Prime Minister as well, who's supporting that whole community. And there's this whole thing about do you know the solidarity with the hijab thing? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Wearing hijab. But I was thinking, and a lot of other people thinking it as well.
It's Jacinda Ardern, for those of you
Yeah,
that
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know the
But
New Zealand
I
Prime
was saying
Minister's
this.
name.
I was saying the thing is like, but does this fix the problem as well for Islamophobia?
Of course not.
Exactly. And now I want to bring up something that happened actually in the UK from that could potentially be an after effect from this as well. In Birmingham, five mosques in Birmingham were attacked, all in a 5-mile radius. All of them were. They're calling it the hammer attacks because all their windows were smashed with a hammer.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 mosques, my bro. 5 of them were
5
attacked. They have it on CCTV showing one guy who comes to the window, smashes it, looks at the camera, and I think he flips it off and walks away. One guy called Perry Barr has actually handed himself in retaliation. What's the word? For these actual attacks that are happening. There's actually there's other suspects that they have accused of committing these atrocities as well. But it's mad. I'll just name the mosque quickly as well. It's called Witten Islamic Center, Jain Masjid, Masjid Faisal Islam, and the Muslim Community Center. And another one is called Jam'i Masjid. Wow. All of them are boarded up. And this is just sad to see, man, because this is the effects that the right wing extremist people are having on these other people that feel the same way. Now they're actually acting out from this attack.
Yeah, well, it's people that had the same sort of mindset and now starting to feel as though they can come forward and perform or not perform, engage in these terrible actions because they've been told by these other idiots that are sparking just hate and violence among a community of Muslim people that they can go and do this. Okay, well, you know, according to these right-wing extremist Muslims does this, we're going to do this. What kind of absolute ridiculous notion is that? Going around killing innocent people. It's absolutely disgusting. And even these incidents, okay, they're not on the scale of what happened in New Zealand, but you can tell it's a response amongst these people because of the incidents in New Zealand. Okay, there's been a terrorist attack here. Now let's go out and start causing havoc and chaos in our community against the Muslims. Let's show everyone that the Muslims are a problem in our society. Ridiculous behavior by these individuals. My condolences are to the family of those that lost their loved ones in New Zealand just a week ago.
Bro, the funny thing is, like, not the funny thing, sorry. I mean, the good thing about it is that, bro, after this terrorist attack happened, let's look at the positives. So many of this, this guy did not win. He flopped, bro, because what did he want to do? Incite terror and make sure that everyone's going around spreading as much hate as they can. But look what happened. Muslims, people in New Zealand started to convert to become Muslim after this.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Everyone stood up against it in New Zealand.
Yep.
Majority of people stood up against it in New Zealand. Yeah. Now they're having this. Even though I said about the solidarity thing, they're still doing it, bro. About the hijab, people have started to wear hijab because of this. Yeah, police officers are going into masjid to understand what is the religion about. But they had the 2 minute silence in New Zealand. The president is going around to people.
2 minutes.
Huh?
Was it 2 minutes?
They had a 2 minute silence in New Zealand.
I thought it was one.
Bro, people were going around. The New Zealand president, the prime minister, sorry, is going around to houses to talk with the families, and she's giving money to these families as well, yeah, to pay for the funeral bills. Bro, these guys are flopped. So whoever these people,
let's not be desensitized in our
No.
acknowledgement of the
I know
situation.
that.
The reason I say that is because I've seen a lot of social media outlets posting that, okay, you failed terrorists, but the reality is they've killed people.
No. That's understandable.
Let's look at this at face value.
Yeah.
Yes, alhamdulillah, praise be to God, they haven't succeeded in their ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But they have still killed innocent people. So we have to not allow ourselves to become desensitized to that reality.
Yeah, no,
by
definitely
looking
not,
at
definitely
the fact that these people have not succeeded in turning people away from the religion of Islam. We are happy that they have not done that. But at the same time, let's remain aware that these families have lost their loved ones and are now going to be suffering tremendously from an emotional standpoint for a very long time. And my condolences do indeed remain with these families. And I pray that God grants you ease and patience. This is the Outspoken Podcast, people, and we have another amazing guest in store for you today. We are joined by Hafsah Dabiri, people. Hafsah, how are you?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on board. We got a lot to talk about today. How was your journey into the studio?
Long, and I was late as usual. I'm going to try to be better.
Inshallah,
after Ramadan.
Inshallah.
God willing. You know, it's funny because I was really hungry this morning, right? And I wanted to go and grab a bagel before I came into the studio, but I didn't have a chance to do so. And it reminded me of a conversation I had with my mum and Naeem the other day, because for some reason, Naeem believes, and I don't know how you feel about this one, Hafsah, yeah? Naeem believes we should call curry goat.
Oh wait, you almost
goat
said
curry.
it. You almost said it yourself.
Yeah, almost. See, that's what he's done to me. But he believes we should call curry goat curry.
What's your reasoning for that?
I'm putting you on the spot now.
We're putting you on the spot for that one.
So, I didn't know it was called curry goat. Yeah, first thing, I didn't know that. I literally thought it was called goat curry because naturally, because I'm Asian,
Yeah.
we call everything like we have lamb curry, we have the chicken curry, and we have the fish curry. I don't know why I'm trying to go into an Asian accent with this, but I'm saying is that following that pattern in my life, I thought it was called goat curry.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting here, talking to his mum. His mum was laughing like head
My
on,
mum
like,
was
loved his head on.
cracking
And I was
up,
just sitting
boy.
there. I was just thinking like, it doesn't make for me. It didn't make any sense. I was like, but then what comes first, the curry or the goat? Like, what's going on?
Do you know what it is? I think it depends on what's more important. Is it the curry or the goat?
Wow. Okay.
But then also, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a different
yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I
feel like
understood that.
I would, if I saw curried goat, I'd know that that's not an
Yeah.
Asian dish. I would attribute that to like Bengali food or Pakistani food. And then curried goat, I know that that's a different culture completely, like Caribbean food.
How does it?
I like
it,
the
does
distinction.
Does it look different?
I think different spices are probably used,
Yeah.
Yep.
but it probably looks similar.
Okay. So for example, if my mum made goat curry, and your mum made curry goat, it would look exactly the same.
I don't know.
But it would taste completely different.
It would probably look similar, but
Yeah.
it would taste very different. Very different. Have you ever tasted curry goat from a Caribbean?
No, I actually haven't.
You haven't.
Like
You should.
You're missing out.
There's a few.
Hafsah, he's missing out. You are
should.
missing out.
You should.
There's a
That's
few
probably why
places-
he's arguing about the name and not
There
just
you
eating
go.
the
Yeah,
food.
because he hasn't tasted it.
that
If
is
he
true.
tasted
That
it,
is
he's
true.
just gonna be like,
Okay.
it's curry goat. We do not, a bit like Voldemort. We do not speak of it.
We do not say his name.
We do not say that name.
That
No
that
more.
name.
It's curry goat, and that's that.
But I'm still. I'll have a try. Yeah, like I'll make sure to have, at least try it. There's a lot of Korean places near my house that I can try it out.
You need to try
Yeah.
curry goat.
I thought your mum said she's gonna make it. Remember?
Yeah, she did actually.
She said she can cook
she
it,
said
bro.
one day she would.
Yeah?
Wouldn't she? Yeah. Well, one day, come down. We have some curry goats.
Come
Not
goat.
goat curry.
And you should come down
Just to make
to
that
my
distinction
house.
clear.
You should come down to my house For goat curry.
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's do
it, and let's see what
Like,
our
what's the
opinions are like
difference?
afterwards.
Ours gonna be a lot more spicy though, isn't it? Do you put a lot of spices in yours?
I guess
That's
it
interesting.
depends.
Depends on the person.
Yeah.
Depends
What
on the
is it?
person.
Sweet or is it sweet or?
I think the same way that your curries are slightly sweet, but then they have a lot of chili in them. I think it is the same kind of balance.
I'm feeling it's gonna be exactly the same thing now after she said that.
I'm trying to even just think about the spices.
Do you know what I genuinely love to now go to a place where we could get two cooks, right? A Caribbean cook and an Asian cook. Say, look, okay,
you cook
goat curry.
you cook curry goat.
And we're gonna try them after. All of us will try it afterwards and decide how we feel about it. Not necessarily decide what's better, but
like,
just decide what distinctions there are. What makes it different.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it, bro.
Let's do it. Let's see if we can find a cook who's willing to do that for us. So, if you're listening to the Outspoken Podcast, as I know that you guys are, because you're my peoples, not his, you're my peoples, then come down.
I got peoples.
Come down, cook us some curry goat.
Or some goat
and
curry.
Some goat curry.
There you go.
And allow us to decide once and for all what name truly belongs to this dish. Because everybody knows it's curry goat.
And I'm the Just Curry champion.
So, Hafsah,
Yes.
talk to us a little bit about the Dabiri Group.
Okay, so it's a kind of brand that we're working on, and it's sort of there to promote ideas to do with diversity and inclusion. I hate that phrase, but that's obviously what's being used out there. And until we come up with something else that's more substantive, I have to kind of use that. So I think within our communities, especially within the Muslim community, there's a need to educate, but in a creative way that people can receive in a constructive way that relates to them in their daily lives. So the manner in which you do that is by just using creative outlets, events, and just outlets to be able to allow Muslims to find themselves within their identity, feel more comfortable, but then also for them to be more productive within themselves. And I think that helps to kind of create a society that works for everyone. We hope to kind of expand that and do a bit more research based stuff. But yeah, that's the brand for now.
And are these community efforts, are they open to people that aren't necessarily of the Muslim faith as well?
Yeah, 100%. So we had an event in January called the Discovery Talkshow, and it was a talk show it was aimed at the Muslim community to be able to have discussions that we don't normally see on in terms of talk shows. So talking about things like relationships, spirituality, mental health, politics and media, and kind of just seeing how these things affect us on a daily basis and how we can seek a balance within all of these areas. So we had a couple of non-Muslims actually come and learn a lot about the Muslim narrative and how that it's so multifaceted, and the perspective that the media puts out there is not necessarily kind of very wholesome in terms of the Muslims that are actually in London.
100%. I think the media is very one-track minded when it comes to the Muslim community.
100%.
And we need efforts like this.
Yeah.
We need efforts like this to dispel these misconceptions, to show people what Muslims really are about, what we are doing, what our worship is about, why we are so involved in our worship, things of this nature, just so that people have an actual more informed look at who the Muslims are.
Yeah, 100%.
Simple as that, really and truly, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned when we spoke on social media recently that you've been involved in a number of political campaigns.
Yeah.
You spoke about the potential of a hijab ban at some institutions as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, as a Muslim woman, someone that wears the hijab as well, someone that is from the black community, how difficult do you think it is in terms of society, in terms of a society that claims to appreciate diversity? How difficult does society make it for you to be yourself?
Oh, that is a really good question. I think as a Muslim and as a person of colour, as a woman, when you navigate within society, they like to put forward the idea that they are very inclusive and very diverse. And I think it's the microaggressions that really kind of put you off and kind of just make you less confident about your identity. So within the workplace, for example, it takes a lot of pushes and demands until you get prayer rooms and things like that. But the policy is there to support the fact that you need a prayer room. But within institutions, there is a lot of racism. There's a lot of Islamophobia that means that the structures don't work to support you. And I think as well, there is this idea of tokenism when it comes to the hijab, that if you're visibly a Muslim, they will kind of capitalize upon that, but they won't fully appreciate your value or kind of the fact that you are educated, the fact that you are human. And I think as far as, yes, we have amazing brands and, well, not amazing brands, but some brands and big companies that do put hijabis on like the front of magazines and on TV stations and whatever. I do think we have to push for creating platforms that are inclusive because inclusion benefits society, rather than inclusive because they can make money off of it, or because there's a policy demand and they have to fill a quota, I don't know, at a business or whatever. And I think
that's what like, a lot of them are like, though. They have to do. They not have to do that. Is that they take that specific rhetoric and they market to that specific set of people. Because if they didn't, they would lose out on that potential market.
Exactly.
So, for example, with the whole hijab thing, like I'll give you an example, like Nike, for example, with their whole thing with the hijab, when they have the Nike tick on the side of it, that in itself is trying to promote themselves to the Muslim market. And because they want to reach that market, they in their marketing plan they have to put in, like, we have to create specific. I wouldn't be even. It wouldn't be even funny if they started making phobes. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise you. Like making phobes and it had like a Nike tick on the bottom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, but I think that's what they are doing now in terms of modest clothing. You can see that that's a trend right now, especially within the kind of the females department, but also with the males. Like you have the longer tops and certain items of clothing and hats and stuff that actually comes from our cultures, whether it be in terms of Islamic culture, but then also specifically looking at kind of African, Nigerian culture and then Pakistani culture. I think there was, I don't want to mention brands, but there are brands who are taking kind of elements of, okay, I'm going to mention brands, Zara and kind of Gucci and everyone. They really do capitalize upon us.
Do you know, with Zara, which is a bit funny, is that in Bengali, Pakistani, and even like in Somali culture, there's something. Well, we have something like it's called a longi.
Yeah, I didn't want to get the name wrong, but that's literally
that's what it's called.
The image that was in my mind.
I think in Pakistani culture it's called a dhoti, maybe something like that. But anyway, they've actually taken that thing, and I've given actually one to Liam. So Liam
gave
knows
me a longi as a gift one.
Yeah.
I've never worn it, but I do own one.
So I give it to him for that, and that they've taken that. They're selling it for about, how much was it, about £70?
You said it's expensive. That's expensive.
70, bro. I go back home and I get it for like a few quid or even less, bro.
Do you know what it is though? I feel like it's even worse within Nigerian culture, because now we have this thing where we get we buy material and then you get it tailored by a tailor, and they do it in kind of the Nigerian designs that we have. And there was a catwalk and they were selling them for literally like £5,000, £6,000, and I can literally get it for £30.
Yeah.
So it's just, but you know what it is? I think when it comes to things like this, it's because we don't look at the long-term impact. So a lot of us might still go out and purchase these things, and we might kind of allow these narratives to continue without speaking up against them, because we're very kind of short-term in the way that we live and the way that our society is built. And I think with everything that's happened in New Zealand, it's becoming increasingly obvious and increasingly imperative that we do look at the long-term impact. And even though these kind of small acts of symbolism can be comforting, we have to push past that eventually and do things that are more constructive in terms of speaking out.
I agree with you. I think it's even becoming really focused on the idea of the New Zealand Prime Minister, for example, wearing the hijab. At times I feel we become so moved by things like that we lose focus on the real issues at hand. At the end of the day, this construct of institutional racism that exists within the fabrics of our society, which is the reason why many of these people maintain these mindsets after years and years and years, despite the fact that we're trying to come away from these more racist structures, if you will. They still exist so heavily in our society. And when we look past all of that to just things like, okay, the Prime Minister decided to wear a hijab to support us, it doesn't remove the fact that Islamophobia still exists.
Yeah,
that's because
on a daily basis.
Okay, it's nice, but It's deeper. It's a deeper issue.
Yeah,
100%.
it's like even like racism, Islamophobia, all these stigmatizations, they're all top down, not bottom up. Do you know what I mean? It comes from the people that are at the top,
from the elite,
the elitists. Do you know what I mean? These people are the ones that bring it down and follow the racism through, bro. Like we said, the conversation we had last time, they have to have. Well, then they choose a specific group of people to target hate. Do you know what I mean? And we've
become the media in particular demonizes certain communities.
No, but who owns the media?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
I think also, but public policy as well. So things like Prevent that seeks to villainize and kind of alienate communities. Yeah. That's never going to be progressive because that public policy is entrenched within racism. It is a racist structure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the media does play a huge role, but these things are also perpetuated, as you said, within political
it's deeply rooted into
circles.
The media, and it's deeply rooted into the government. Mm-hmm. This is if the government itself doesn't change its policies in terms of how to solve the issue, instead of creating more issues.
Yeah, the problems of foreign policy.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's why we need. That's why, you know, with Outspoken Podcast, we are a solution focused podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what we have to be, and like what Abdul Karim said, we have to go with that specific approach when it comes to anything.
Yeah. 110%. 110%. I agree with you. In terms of what else you do, Hafsah, you have a podcast.
Yes, I do. Do you know what's funny? I haven't posted on my podcast in like months, and I'm here on someone else's podcast. Oh gosh!
So we did an episode with who's the brother? Mustafa Briggs.
Yeah, Mustafa Briggs. That was an episode that got a lot of. I think it sparked a lot of discussion. Yeah. Because I think we were talking a lot about outside the Muslim community, but there's so much conflict within the Muslim community as well. And I think that when it comes to Islam, there has to be balance. We're always told to take the middle path. And I think that podcast really pushed that idea of just having conversations with other Muslims and being more empathetic, being more understanding and wanting to seek knowledge because we very much can read Hadith and Quran and be knowledgeable, but if you're not knowledgeable about society and the community and the Muslim Ummah, there's no way in which you can impart that knowledge that will benefit other people if you don't understand how to kind of approach them. The podcast is called The Deeper Podcast. I would say check it out, but like I'm just being dishonest because I haven't even posted anything on it recently. We have episodes lined up, inshallah, but I've just been extremely busy. So it's called The Deeper Podcast, and we just seek to delve deeper into the surface level issues, ideas, stereotypes, and trends that we see online. It has come from a belief perspective to start off with, but inshallah, we're going to kind of delve out into kind of things like Islamophobia, things like racism, just things that need to be spoken about, inshallah.
Inshallah, that's right. That's what we need. We need people creating forums for these conversations to take place. And we need to be having these discussions as well with people from other communities, not just within our own community. Like you said, we need to be discussing this with non-Muslim community as well, and getting their thoughts on the situation and how we as an overall community, a society, can work towards unifying and bettering the situation in general. This is the Outspoken Podcast, people. We are joined by Hafsah Dabiri. And something you may or may not know about Hafsah is that she is an author. That's right, my people. Hafsah has recently released a book called Basira. The basketballer says Inshallah. And for those of you that don't know what Inshallah means, it means God willing. How good did it feel to release this book? I'm sure it felt real good.
Do you know what? It was a long process. So there wasn't like one moment where I was like, oh my gosh, this book is out. But I think the moment when I realized that it had potential was when I got the email from the publisher. And I think I said this on my Instagram before, but I didn't even intend to get it published. I literally wrote the book in like 40 minutes. It's only a short children's book, and showed it to my sister, showed it to my mum, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like it's good." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And so I sent it off, and then months later I get a response, and I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't kind of waiting for the email, but you know, when Allah's kind of planned something will happen, you can't stop it. So it's kind of taken off from there, alhamdulillah. So I think that moment when I got the email was like the moment when I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. And then like a year later, we'd finally finished kind of the editing process, and I'd gotten sent the first copy of it wasn't even like the illustrations, it was just the front of the book. And I put that on Twitter, and then it went viral, and I was like, okay, well, I can't really help anyone because the book's not actually out yet. But yeah, it was a good feeling. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
So who published the book?
So it's published by a company called Ruqayyah's Bookshelf, and it's owned
I've
by
heard of them.
Asma Hussein. Yeah. So I think
Amazing.
the books that they create are very, very kind of innovative in how they seek to help the learning of children. So I think the book kind of fits in really well with her kind of the books that she's already written and that she's
What
published.
an achievement that is.
Alhamdulillah.
I genuinely think it's incredible for anyone to self-publish a book, let alone have a company that's willing to back them by publishing it because they actually have a belief behind the
Yeah.
project. That's
Alhamdulillah.
amazing. In terms of who illustrated it, is
Yeah.
that someone you know or?
No, so it was again through the publisher. She suggested the illustrator, and then we just kind of worked together to form the characters as true to the words of the book, inshallah. And it's amazing. I feel like the illustrations really brought it to life. The first time I saw it, I think I started crying because I was literally just like, it's so weird to create something and then see it in kind of full form.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Is it in specific bookstores and stuff? that you can
So
do,
we
or-
are kind of branching out into bookstores. It should be in the IHRC in Wembley. We actually might be having a launch in East London as well. So it should be in bookstores in East London as well, inshallah.
Dope.
That's amazing.
So Basira loves basketball. Then do you play basketball yourself?
Yeah, so I used to play basketball and netball. I feel like everybody says this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played netball professionally, and I just played basketball because I loved it.
Yeah.
But I think sports are an amazing way for children to kind of connect with other people who are different to them, because once you're on the court, nobody cares what you look like nobody's caring that you're wearing a hijab or that you're of color. If you've got the skill, you've got the skill. And I think it kind of helps in developing confidence as well. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
It's interesting that you say that actually, because I remember I met a sister once, and she actually played for a basketball team in, I believe it was France.
Okay.
No, Belgium. That's it. It was in Belgium. And she told me that she had to quit because they informed her that if she did not remove her hijab, she'd
Wow.
be cut from the team.
Yeah. So I'm actually, I know a couple of sisters who they've been campaigning, or they have successfully campaigned against, so the kind of, I think it's called FIBA. So it's the massive kind of organization that handles professional basketball playing. And they've successfully campaigned to allow for the hijab to be worn. And I think it's a constant fight. It's a constant kind of a tension that exists within structures. But I think as individuals on the court, it is a very different issue, because you can take issue with my hijab, but once we're on the court, my hijab isn't going to stop me from kind of playing kind of thing. But I think it is something that we have to be aware of. But even though that contention exists outside of the Muslim community, it's also within the Muslim community in terms of sisters being told that they shouldn't play sports, that they shouldn't be on the court, that they shouldn't go out and do these things. And I think, again, within Islam, there has to be a balance. If you are covering what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said you should cover, dunk on them. Do what you want.
So we'll follow the obligation first and foremost,
Yeah.
and then you go from there, isn't
Exactly.
Like I should drop the wordplay at the end.
it? Dunk. Slam dunk.
Slam dunk.
So, what's your favorite book? Well, I want to know. I have to know what your favorite book is, because the thing is, we don't get a chance to talk about books too much
We
on the
actually don't.
podcast. Yeah. So this week we want to know what your favorite book is.
Oh gosh, you'd think I haven't read anything. My mind's literally gone blank. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna say this book just because it was a book that came at the right time for me, but there's a lot of issues that I take with it. So Natives by Akala is a really good book, I think, in terms of the knowledge and how he seeks to, the style in which he's written the book and how he seeks to uncover ideas of racism.
Yeah.
There are kind of elements that I don't necessarily agree with in terms of his ideology, but I think Akala is a very kind of, he's very different compared to the people who have platforms within our society now. And I think he's using it very constructively to look at ideas to do with racism and kind of white supremacy and the structural racism. And his book was very, very well written, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it would be. He's a very well-spoken individual. I haven't read the book myself. I would like to. Naeem, favorite book?
Favorite book? For me, it would have to be, and I like reading this book. Actually, is it okay if I say two? If I have two? One book is called Influence by Jenny Nabin. Okay. Talking about the neuroscience behind how to influence a person and going into, for example, like one of the things that she talks about is called mirror neurons. I don't know if you know what that is. Mirror neurons is basically if I felt excited, that emotion would reflect onto you. Yeah, if I'm feeling depressed or sad, that same emotion would reflect onto you as well. You would actually, you wouldn't feel like depressed, but you would feel something from that specific emotion. Yeah, which is what she talks about, which is like, it's like cool to see because she goes into detail about the two sides of the brain and what
the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere.
Yeah, exactly. And even talking about the neofrontal cortex. I love saying that.
I love that. Yeah.
which is top of the brain, which is like where the majority of your intellect comes from. And it's just such an interesting book. You should definitely check it out. Influenced by Jenny Nabin. The second one I love reading is called Disciplining the Soul by Ibn al-Jawzi. It's an absolutely amazing book, going into detail on basically every part of your life, and especially stuff like this, the 7 different sins that a person faces as well, where it comes for like lust, where it comes to greed, and where it comes to pride, arrogance, and envy. And like, for example, with greed, it doesn't just talk about like food. It talks about greed for money. Do you know what I mean? Why we shouldn't have our life dedicated to going out for money. We should take it for the necessities and give it away to we should take it for the necessities, and anything else we make, we should give it away to charity. That's what basically it says in the book. And yes, it's absolutely amazing, man. You should definitely check it out. It's Disciplining the Soul by Ibn al-Jawzi.
Both of them sound like really great reads. Myself, it's very easy to pick my favorite fiction book, although it's based on a very real situation, which is the advent of Stalinism, and that is 1984 by George Orwell. Just an amazingly well-written book that really does focus on issues that were even, if you look at the way societies run today, it's very relevant still today as well. But yeah, George Orwell was something else. He was an author that just really was clued up.
Way before his time.
Way before his time. I won't go into too much detail because I feel like we could talk about that book for ages because it's such an incredible book. Non-fiction's
what's it about though? Like briefly, like you can tell us.
So in essence, there's this sort of controlling system in place called Big Brother.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's based on the real events that occurred regarding Stalinism. So at the time, the Soviet Union and that. But it's just an amazing book.
Yeah,
seriously,
I need to check it out.
I would definitely say check it out, mate.
You can borrow it for me.
I can. I'll lend you it.
Yeah,
I'll lend you it. It's one of my favorite books. In terms of non-fiction, it's a lot harder because there's so many.
Yeah,
it's so hard to narrow down non-fiction books. One of my favorites though is The Inner Dimensions of the Prayer by Ibn Qayyim. The reason being is because I read that early into my days of becoming a Muslim, and it was a book that really benefited my salah.
Yeah,
really benefited my salah. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's prayer. And I remember reading it and feeling as though I actually was standing before Allah afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it literally delves into every aspect of the prayer. Every feature, everything we need to be doing, at what time we should be doing it. Oops, just almost knocked the mic out. But yeah, every aspect of the salah. So in terms of how we should approach this certain feature, how we should approach that feature, from the standing to the bowing to the prostrating to the way we say the words to the thoughts the way we should control our thoughts at these moments. It's just wow. Just seriously, it's life-changing. These sort of books are life-changing because they really give you an understanding of the importance of worship.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, as a Muslim, we know that worshiping Allah is our fundamental nature. It's just in essence everything for us. It's intrinsic in our makeup. We worship Allah because we are grateful that He has created us and given us a life to live. So it's our main priority.
Yeah.
It's our number one focus.
Yeah.
So books like that really are life changing. This is the Outspoken Podcast, people, and this is Content Junkie. Naeem, what are we talking about today?
Bro, I hate to say it, but we're talking about Shazam.
Shazam! We talking about Shazam. Why do you hate to say that? What's wrong with Shazam?
Shazam!
What's wrong with Shazam, man? No, what's wrong with Shazam?
Bro,
What did he do to you, man?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I just hate the character overall.
Wow, deep.
I don't like. It's a 14-year-old boy. Yeah, he in the comic he got what is
Billy
it?
Batson.
He met up with a wizard, and the wizard gave him the ability. The wizard was called Shazam, wasn't he?
Yes.
That's what I remember. I remember reading that the wizard was actually called Shazam, and he gave him the ability. So whenever he says Shazam, he becomes a big muscly dude with the power. with the power to what's his powers like?
He can do a lot of stuff.
He does a lot of stuff, isn't it? But he can. I remember that he can shoot lightning or something,
He
right?
shoot lightning.
Yeah.
He's super strong. He's got super speed. He can fly.
Yeah.
Not super speed actually. I mean, he can fly, but I wouldn't say he's like super fast in terms of like Flash or Superman.
But I just think like out of all the DC characters, he's the worst.
Wow.
Even Green Lantern.
The worst.
Yeah, I don't
deep.
like him, bro.
That's deep,
I don't
that's
like
deep.
him. Green Lantern, bro. I mean, not Green Lantern, I mean him. But I don't even like Green Lantern, bro.
No, I like Green Lantern. I just feel like the films and even some of the animated movies have done him a real disservice. His character is actually epic.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
in terms
man.
of what
I
he's
hate him,
able,
bro.
in terms of what he's able to
characters,
do.
bruv.
In terms of what he's able to do, if they wrote him well, I
Bruv,
think it would make for.
They
an
should get
amazing
kicked
film.
off the Justice League. I'll just say that.
Why would they get kicked off Justice League?
They should get
He
kicked
looks
off
after the galaxies.
But there's other Green Lanterns out there, man. I don't care.
Okay, but
Do you
the
know what I mean?
Green Lantern Corps look after the galaxy, so kicking them off of the Justice League would bring harm to.
No,
the planet.
I don't mean the
What a
Green.
dumb
I don't mean
suggestion
the
that is.
Green. No. You're mistaking me. I don't mean the Green Lantern Corp. I mean him.
Why? What's wrong with him?
I don't like him.
He's the main presence from the Green Lantern Corps.
He's so annoying, bro. He's such a dead character. Do you know
You
what I mean?
have no justification.
I'm
for
telling
what
you
say.
what he
You
is.
just say, "Oh, he's a dead character."
Bro.
Why? Why is he
Bro.
dead? What makes him dead?
Bro.
Explain.
Bro.
Elaborate.
Bro. Bro. Look, first of all, like all the powers are the same. Yeah, all of the Green Lanterns are exactly the same. So any Green Lantern can take over his position. 1, 2, bro. The way he acts, is not funny. There's nothing to it, and his backstory.
You don't know.
His
so
backstory's
don't
a
even
pilot.
go
He's a
into it.
pilot. His backstory's a pilot. Yeah, I do remember his backstory. His backstory's a pilot, and then what happened? He got into a crash or something like that. And ended up in the Green Lantern Corps. Which Green Lantern are we talking about, by the way?
The Green Lantern. We're talking about Hal Jordan.
Yeah, he's the one in the new movie, right? The not the new movie, the latest one that came out.
He hasn't been in a movie in ages.
No, the latest animated the film that came out with Batman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
No,
Hal
that
Jordan.
one. I don't like that one. I like the other guy.
But the black guy.
Yeah, I like him.
Why? What's the difference? What's wrong
He's-
with Hal Jordan?
How Jordan, I just like his character, the way he acts. That's the main thing that puts me off. But the other guy, bro, he's cool. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting.
Like the way he treats people, yeah, and but his jokes are funny. You genuinely laugh at his jokes.
I don't
because he's from.
I don't recall the black iteration.
Do you remember
making
the
many jokes. I know
original?
Hal Jordan?
Do you remember the original Justice League, the old one?
No, I don't.
He was in it. He was actually in it. But if he makes it's not like over like banter or anything like that. Yeah, where he's like making jokes all the time. It's that one where it's like. It's that subtle one, yeah, where it's like right at the end of a conversation, where you don't expect it, where he just drops a joke.
Interesting.
It's
Shazam, thoughts.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Shazam.
Yeah, we're talking about Shazam, by the way, not
Sorry.
Green Lantern.
Sorry, no, you would use Shazam. still dead.
I'm not well
Yeah.
versed in all of this, but I saw the trailer and I thought it was cool. I thought it was different. I'm definitely gonna go watch it and see
Yeah?
if I like it. Yeah.
Liam, you gonna go watch it as well?
Yeah, I mean, it looks It looks worthy enough to
Yeah.
actually go and see. It doesn't look
But
like
that's-
it doesn't look like it's going to be anything special, if I'm honest.
Mm.
The trailer hasn't overly impressed me.
Yeah.
And I believe his name's Zachary Levi. I'm not a fan of him being in the role of Shazam.
Bro. Oh yeah, it's him. Bro, that's the guy in Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, I was not pleased when they announced it, because for a while they teased this idea that they were going to make it be John Cena. So that
Yeah,
later on
yeah.
down the line in the universe, he comes face to face with Black Adam, who's going to be played by Dwayne Johnson. who is
Oh,
also
that
known
would have
as
been
The Rock.
sick.
And I was like, wow, what an epic way to make these guys face off again after
That would've been
after they faced off in professional wrestling to now
Yeah.
years later have them in the movie sphere and face off there.
That would've been
And
epic.
then they
That would've been
decided
so
to
epic.
cast Zachary Levi. I was like,
But you can't.
seriously,
he's-
just
As an actor, bro. No offense, but like.
I respect.
You're not- I don't think he- I don't think he suits the role,
We
man.
got to give him some credit. Yeah, I respect the fact that, like most actors that get in positioned into those roles, he's worked extremely hard to get in shape.
That is true.
Extremely hard to get in
Or
shape.
maybe it's a
man.
bodysuit.
It's not a bodysuit. That's
But yeah,
genuinely
yeah,
him.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
worked amazingly
That's
hard,
good.
and I give him respect and credit for that. But in terms of his acting and him playing the role of Shazam, just didn't impress me. I
Yeah.
don't know why he's been cast. But two roles that I am pleased with being cast, and that's Mark Strong, because I like him, and Digimon Honzo. I like them both. So I'm interested in seeing how they do in the film.
I just think that, do you know, there's a lot of actors that have a lot of range that you can do a lot of different types of films.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he's the type that
He's
can
not.
do
I don't believe so.
that kind of film. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's like, you need a certain look and a certain attitude when it comes to doing a superhero film. I don't know. The thing is, because it's Shazam, and because his character is a bit like gimmicky and jokey, I can maybe it could work.
See, the
Because he
fun-
was fun.
yeah.
He was like that comedy character in Alvin and Chipmunks.
But that's what I'm saying. The funny thing is, for me, I think he has the look. I don't think there's a problem in that regard. I think he looks the part.
No.
And-
Looks the part. I mean,
and-
like his character. Do you know what I mean? Like how he would portray the character. I don't know if it would work
Why not though?
because of how. Because I don't know if he himself, the way he acts. Because I've seen a few things that he's in. Could it translate into that?
But that's the beauty of acting, isn't it? You have to transition from each role into a different
Yeah, yeah.
character. You have to embody someone new each time.
I like that. Like that embody.
Yeah, no, but that's what you're doing in
Yeah,
essence,
yeah.
isn't it? You're becoming someone
Yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah,
It's a role, but most actors, if you hear from them in interviews behind the scenes, they'll speak about how they had to do this and they had to do that to really get into the role. Like
Yeah.
Joker, for example, Heath Ledger, he essentially cut himself off from a lot of people for a while because he really wanted to get into the role of being the Joker. He wanted to
He's sick though.
really
I rate him
feel
a
it.
lot because he was going from you went from like lovey-dovey stuff to become Joker. Like that
One
was
of the
epic.
Jokers got so into the role that
That was
they
him.
Oh yeah,
I think it was Heath Ledger.
It was
yeah.
Heath Ledger. Like he was in the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I think some of them do become too engrossed in their roles, too engrossed to the extent that it has an impact on their life outside of the film, which is a problem.
Yeah, some of
I
them
believe,
say
I believe you need to be able to find balance.
Yeah.
yeah. Some of them in interviews they say that they have to like go into special training to capture that certain role. Like you said with the Joker, that's what he had to go through to do that. Do you know what I mean? And then
Look at
happened,
Christian
happened.
Bell though.
Yeah.
The Machinist. This guy, he lost so much weight. Have you ever
Bruv.
seen The Machinist?
No, I haven't
You
watched
haven't,
it.
have
no.
you?
No, I haven't seen it. I've seen
Wow.
pictures. I've seen pictures.
So
and
in The
stuff, though.
Machinist, Christian Bell plays a character that is essentially near anorexic. So he was unhealthily thin for that film. Unhealthily.
What was the film about?
I can't remember it that well, but if my memory serves me correctly, I think it was to do with a drug addiction, but I could be wrong because it's been years since I've seen it. But I just
Yeah.
remember seeing the imagery of him
Yeah.
as this character and being like, wow, I'm not sure if that's dedication or just abuse,
Yeah.
self-abuse, because
Yeah.
he literally had to lose weight to the extent that could have been damaging for his life.
Wow.
But do you know some of these people? They're very, very dedicated though. They have a lot of passion for their what they do, and
No, they're getting
they
paid
would-
millions as
They
well.
get
That's
paid
it.
a lot of money
That's
as
it as
well,
well.
so let's not forget that one.
I was trying to like give them dignity, but alright. But yeah, so what do you
A
think?
lot
like,
of people do sell out for films though as well.
that is true. Yeah. Wait, what do you think in terms of like him acting? Have you seen Alvin and Chipmunks before?
Yeah.
Do you remember him being in it?
I do.
Do you
I
think?
do.
Do you think like?
I think it comes back to the idea that because I haven't seen him in that role, I can't really critique
really
as to whether
appreciate.
or not he would be good or not. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
after this movie, I'd know, okay, he can't play that role, or he can.
Yeah. Do you watch superhero films in general? Though?
Yeah. But I'm not like, you know, when it's like DC, Marvel, I just irritate everybody who
Yeah.
loves
Basically
that
like
kind
a-
of thing because I don't know I don't know who belongs to the DC
Because
world.
we've established we're geeks in it, so
It's just been interesting to sit here and learn a bit more about it, I guess.
yeah, we could talk about it for days.
The Outspoken Geeks.
Outspoken geeks. There you go.
Yeah, the movie itself is the 7th installment in the DC Extended Universe. It's produced by New Line Cinema, directed by David F. Sandberg. As mentioned before previously, it stars Zachary Levi as the role of superhero Shazam, and it also stars Mark Strong and Digimon Hanzo. The film is based on the after effects of the invasion of Steppenwolf, which took place in Justice League, for those of you that have seen it. And it sees Billy Batson, a troubled 14-year-old orphan, get on a subway car and find himself transported to a different realm where an ancient wizard gives him power to transform into an adult sphere just by uttering the word Shazam. Billy and his new foster brother, Freddie Freeman, must discover how to use Billy's new powers to prevent villain Dr. Thaddeus Sivana, I think I said that right, who has powers of his own, from committing nefarious acts. That is, in essence, the summary of the film. I'm not too impressed by it, but...
Wait, so Black Adam's not in this one then?
No, Black Adam's not in this one.
Oh.
So they're going to meet down the line later on.
Okay,
And
okay.
that's why, as I mentioned earlier, I'm frustrated
yeah.
because I just feel they've dropped the ball.
Yeah,
I think John Cena and Dwayne Johnson...
that would have been epic.
It would have just been...
That would have been
Can John
absolutely
Cena
epic.
act though?
He can.
He can act, yeah.
Mm.
He can act. He's not the best.
Yeah,
He's not the best. I'd go out on a limb and say I prefer him to Zachary Levi, though.
Mm.
I've seen him in a number of films. He's a very good comedy actor.
Mm.
So serious roles, not so much.
Mm.
He's a bit weak in that regard. But in comedy roles, he's very good.
Who, John Cena?
Yeah, he's very good. He's
We
able
did
to adapt.
Transformers. We watched Transformers, remember?
He was okay in that. But he was really funny in what film was it? Oh, I can't remember what film it was. It might have been, I think it was Blockers or Daddy's Home, one of the two
Daddy's
that I
Home.
watched. He was considerably funny in one of those films.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think he would have made for a better Shazam personally. That's just me. But then again, we go to this idea of acting. I don't really think Dwayne Johnson's a good actor. So, and I mean, this guy's like one of the most sought after actors.
Sorry
I've
about
seen.
that, guys. Kicked the table, bro. But yeah.
He's one of the most sought after actors in the market.
Really?
I don't really rate him as that,
I
but-
enjoyed his when he was in Central Intelligence. I feel like that was very funny.
So you
Especially-
think he's a better comedy actor then?
I feel like it's better
Like,
comedy.
he
actor,
plays a lot
definitely.
of serious roles.
Yeah, I don't like him in serious roles, to be honest.
Yeah,
I like him in
likewise.
his comedy roles with like Kevin Hart. Especially, do you know Jumanji, when he was in Jumanji?
I haven't seen Jumanji.
That was funny.
Yeah,
like
it
it was
was.
absolutely funny. Do you know what I mean? He does very good comedy roles as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, some actors are just suited to certain roles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some actors are able to adapt different roles. Tom Hardy, for example, is an incredibly versatile actor. He can act in any role, in my opinion. This guy's played so many different characters.
Yeah.
You know, Bronson, his portrayal of Bronson was next level. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it depends on the actor. I think it depends on the cast around them as well, the director involved, the script. All of these factors go into what makes a good film. And if somebody like Zachary Levi is not able to live up, then it's not just him that takes the blame. Really, it's
the whole production.
It's the whole production.
Yeah.
It's a team effort, isn't it?
Exactly.
And it's the job of the director to get the best out of that actor as well. And it's the job of the script to bring the best out of the actors as well. Because if you're presented with an absolutely awful script, there's not much you can do with it, even if you have an incredible director on board.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen some of the best directors make some pretty rubbish films because they've had maybe really garbage scripts to work with. So it just depends on all of that. This is the Outspoken Podcast, people, and it's time. That's right, it's time. It's just... Nah, I'm just kidding. Make a statement, people. It's time to make a statement. Naeem, start us off.
So, statements, guys. That's it. I'm checking.
Statements.
So yeah, to leave it off, we talked about books, so I'm gonna just say read. Like, everyone should invest time into reading, whether that's 15 minutes a day. You wake up. What I usually do, I'll try to do at least, is whenever I wake up, if I'm not in a rush, during breakfast time, I usually pick up a book, put a timer on 15 minutes, and read for 15 minutes. And once the time is gone, I'm still reading. It allows me to read more because I'm still at the middle, like you're when you're in the middle page, yeah, or you're in the right to the end of the chapter. You're there, and you're just like, oh yeah, but I need to finish this. So you read a bit more, and then after you're done, at least you read, and that's as long as you're making it a habit. It will benefit you along the way. So even if you do it once a week, or twice a week, or 3 times a week, aim for once a week at least. Because then, as long as you can hit down that once a week, then you can increase the amount of days you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's for me. That's read.
That's great advice. Read. Hafsah?
I think to follow on from your point, I'll say that think critically and reflect, because we can read and we can take things in, but it's not useful unless you think about how you can actually apply it in a manner that's beneficial, that's productive, and that's effective for you. So and also challenge yourself in terms of how you think about things, because I think that's what we lack within society. We don't we kind of have a belief, and then we don't like to have discussions that maybe could contradict the way that we think. So be open to having discussions and thinking critically.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Wonderful advice. For me, the statement is simple. I am the Just Rhyme champion.
That's not really motivational.
Of course it is.
And you can be too.
And you can maybe one day be the Just Rhyme champion too.
People are going to lock off right now like, bun this guy, bro. I don't want to hear this, man.
No, on a serious note, though, I do actually want to get a This Is Your Platform guest championship. I do. So one day, for Just Rhyme, there will exist a This Is Your Platform championship.
Oh, yeah? We're doing this?
We're doing this, man.
All right, bro.
We're doing this. We're going to show Just Rhyme loves its community. Just Rhyme loves its family. And that's what I see everyone that comes down to the event as, family. And I want to show that appreciation by offering a championship to the person.
Let's do it, man.
So let's do it. We're going to get that underway, guys. Might take 10 years, but it's going to be there eventually. On a serious note.
How serious?
Very serious.
Very, very serious?
Very serious.
All right, bro.
Very serious.
Saitama serious?
Saitama serious.
One punch.
Serious. One punch serious.
Like plus ultra.
Plus ultra.
Serious. Let's do this, bro. Go on.
Yeah, seriously though, just to extend slightly from what Hafsah said about thinking critically, in essence, I'm going to say this really short and keep it very succinct, and that is, don't allow what you see in the media that's a positive contribution to what's going on to be a means for you to then overlook the overall issues that are at hand. And the reason I say that is because, especially within the Muslim community, I've noticed that a lot of Muslims have got on some more outspoken individuals on social media that are talking about the underlying issues within our society as it pertains to institutional racism and Islamophobia, because the New Zealand Prime Minister wore a hijab. Now, as wonderful as this is, it does not mean, as I mentioned earlier, that the issues do not exist any longer. They are still very much prevalent in our society. And if we can be so easily swayed away from these conversations just because of this, then how can we ever expect a change in our community? How can we ever expect any sort of sense of unification if this is our thought process? So for me, to extend on what Hafsah said, think critically. Don't just allow the media to dictate your thoughts, man. That is a sheep mentality. And Naeem knows how much I like to speak about sheep.
Yeah. And goats.
And goats. And goats. Sheeps and goats.
Sheeps and goats.
So, my people, don't have a sheep mentality. This has been the Outspoken Podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here today, Hafsah.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. It was
No
absolutely
problem.
amazing.
It's been an amazing episode. I am your host and the Just Rhyme champion, Annotate, joined by my co-host,
Just Naeem. And I already said it at the beginning, I'm not going to say it again.
and you can call him annoying. You like that one, huh? That
No,
kind
I
of
didn't
rhymed
like
as well.
it.
Is that annoying?
And guys, this has been the Outspoken Podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us.
See you guys in the next episode.
Take care.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Shazam.
Shazam.
Got buff on him now.